There is a photograph in the Thornwell International Exposition archives from 1895 showing 38 children in matching uniforms standing on the Grand Pavilion stage. They are identified in the caption as the Harmonic Youth Ensemble, daily performances, June-September. The photograph was taken on opening day, the 15th of June, 1895. The children range in age from approximately 6 to 14. No record exists of who brought them, who they belonged to, or where they went when the exposition closed in September. I found the photograph while researching performance schedules at the 1895 Thornwell International Exposition, a 6-month World's Fair held in the city of Ashmont. The exposition drew over 4 million visitors and featured exhibitions from 23 nations. The Harmonic Youth Ensemble performed twice daily in the Grand Pavilion throughout the fair's entire duration. According to the official program, they sang traditional songs, performed choreographed movements, and demonstrated what was described as remarkable synchronization and discipline. The program lists no sponsor, no country of origin, no organizational affiliation. Just the Harmonic Youth Ensemble with performance times at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. daily. I searched the exposition's administrative records for documentation of how the ensemble was registered. All exhibitors and performers were required to submit applications to the Exposition Commission, providing details about their display or performance, their sponsoring organization, and their credentials. The commission maintained files for every approved participant. I found registration files for the German Industrial Pavilion, the Brazilian Coffee Exhibition, the French Fine Arts Gallery, and hundreds of other exhibits and performances. I did not find a registration file for the Harmonic Youth Ensemble. I checked the Commission's meeting minutes from the planning period in 1894 and early 1895. The minutes record discussions of hundreds of applications, approvals, rejections, and logistical arrangements. The Harmonic Youth Ensemble is never mentioned. Here is what strikes me about this absence. The Grand Pavilion was the exposition's centerpiece performance venue. Scheduling performances there required commission approval. The venue hosted orchestras, dance troupes, theatrical productions, and international performers. Every performance was documented in commission records with details about booking, contracts, and payments, except the Harmonic Youth Ensemble, which performed there twice daily for 4 months. I found payment records for Grand Pavilion performers. The German orchestra received 1,200 marks for a 2-week engagement. The Italian Opera Company received 3,500 marks for a month of performances. Other performers were paid weekly or per performance, with amounts documented in the exposition's financial ledgers. There is no payment record for the Harmonic Youth Ensemble, no contract, no fee negotiation, no documentation of who was paid or how much. But here is the detail that doesn't fit. I found a maintenance log from the Grand Pavilion that recorded daily activities. The log notes setup and cleanup for all scheduled performances. For the period June through September 1895, it shows 2 entries daily, 11 a.m. Harmonic Youth and 3 p.m. Harmonic Youth. The entries appear every single day the exposition was open, including Sundays, when most other performances were suspended for religious observance. The ensemble performed 244 times over 4 months. The maintenance staff knew their schedule well enough to log it daily, but the commission has no record of approving those performances. I tried to find reviews or press coverage of the ensemble. The Ashmont Daily Chronicle published regular coverage of exposition events. I searched issues from June through September 1895. I found reviews of the German orchestra, descriptions of the Brazilian exhibition, and coverage of visiting dignitaries. I found 3 brief mentions of the Harmonic Youth Ensemble. The first mention, dated the 18th of June, 1895, describes the ensemble as a curiosity, uniformed children performing with unusual precision. The second mention, the 22nd of July, notes that the youth ensemble continues its daily performances to modest crowds. The third mention, the 8th of September, states simply that The children's singing group has become a familiar fixture. No interviews with organizers, no background information, no explanation of where the children came from or who was responsible for them. I found one visitor account that provides more detail. A journal entry from Clara Wendell, a school teacher from a neighboring province. Dated the 3rd of July, 1895, she wrote, "Attended the children's performance at the Grand Pavilion. The precision was remarkable, almost unsettling. They moved as one, sang without individual expression, and never smiled or acknowledged the audience. When the performance ended, they filed off stage in perfect silence. I asked an attendant who they were. He said he didn't know, that they simply appeared each morning and left each afternoon. No chaperones visible, no adults accompanying them." The detail about no visible chaperones appears nowhere in official documentation, yet matches the absence of any guardian records in child welfare files. Now here is where the timing becomes difficult to explain. I found housing records for exposition participants. The commission arranged lodging for international exhibitors and performers who traveled to Ashmont for the fair. The housing office maintained logs of who stayed where, for how long, and at what cost. I found housing records for the German orchestra, the Italian opera company, and dozens of other performers. The records include arrival dates, departure dates, and housing locations, mostly hotels and boarding houses near the exposition grounds. I found no housing records for the Harmonic Youth Ensemble, no hotel bookings, no boarding house arrangements, no documentation of where 38 children stayed during 4 months in Ashmont. I checked child welfare records. The city of Ashmont had regulations requiring supervision of minors in public performances. Any group using child performers needed to provide documentation of parental consent and guardian supervision. The regulations were enforced by the Municipal Child Welfare Office. I searched the office's records from 1895. I found inspection reports for a juvenile theater troupe, documentation for a youth choir from a local church, and permits for several child performers in the exposition's amusement section. I found no documentation for the Harmonic Youth Ensemble. 38 children, performing publicly twice daily. No permits, no inspection reports, no evidence that child welfare authorities were aware of their existence. But here is what bothers me most. I found a letter dated the 15th of September, 1895, 5 days before the exposition closed. The letter is from the Grand Pavilion stage manager to the Exposition Commission director. It reads, requesting guidance on final performance schedule for closing ceremonies. Several acts have confirmed participation. Harmonic Youth Ensemble status unclear. They have not responded to inquiries regarding the 20th of September finale. Please advise. The commission director's response, dated the 16th of September, states, Harmonic Youth Ensemble will not participate in closing ceremonies. No further action required. The ensemble had performed daily for 4 months without interruption. Then, with 5 days remaining before the exposition closed, they apparently became unreachable. The commission's response suggests this was not unexpected. No further action required. I searched for any record of the ensemble after the 15th of September. I found none. No final performance announcement, no departure documentation, no newspaper mention of their last show. They simply stopped appearing in the daily maintenance logs on the 15th of September, and no record indicates what happened to them. I tried to trace individual children from the photograph. The image is clear enough to distinguish faces, though no names are provided in the caption. I examined the photograph alongside the exposition's general photographic archive, looking for the same children in crowd scenes, visitor photographs, or other documentation. I found none. The children appear only in this single official photograph from opening day. 38 children who performed publicly 244 times over 4 months, left only one photographic trace. But examining the photograph more closely revealed something else. All 38 children are wearing identical uniforms, Dark tunics with light-colored collars. The clothing style doesn't match any national costume from the participating countries. The fabric appears to be of good quality, well-maintained, suggesting the children were being cared for by someone. Yet their expressions are uniform as well. Not smiling, not solemn exactly, just blank. 38 different children with nearly identical neutral expressions, as if they'd been instructed not to show emotion for the photograph, or as if they couldn't. I found one more document that I haven't been able to explain. It is a note in the Exposition Commission meeting minutes from October 1895, 1 month after the fair closed. The note appears under Miscellaneous Business and reads, "Director reports all participant debts settled except outstanding matter of June arrival. Commission votes to write off uncollected fees as administrative loss. Matter closed." The note provides no details about what the June arrival was, what fees were uncollected, or why they were being written off. But the timing aligns with the Harmonic Youth Ensemble's first appearance on the 15th of June. I cross-referenced this with the exposition's revenue records. Standard practice was that exhibitors and performers paid venue fees or revenue shares to the commission. The revenue ledger from June 1895 shows a line item dated the 16th of June. Grand Pavilion daily performer, fee structure pending. The amount field is blank. Every other performer has a specified fee. This entry remains blank through September, then disappears from the October ledger entirely. Something was owed. It was never collected. Then it was written off, and the matter was closed. The Thornwell International Exposition archives contain comprehensive documentation of the 1895 fair registration files, contracts, payment records, housing arrangements, press coverage, photographs, closing ceremonies documentation. Every aspect of the 6-month event was documented and preserved, except for 38 children who performed publicly twice daily for 4 months. Children who had no registration file, no contract, no payment record, no housing arrangement, no child welfare permit, no sponsor identification, and no documented departure. Children who appear in one photograph on opening day and then vanish from the documentary record, leaving only daily maintenance log entries noting their scheduled performances, and a final commission note about writing off an unspecified administrative loss. The photograph is still in the archives. 38 children in matching uniforms. Front row seated, back row standing, all facing the camera, the Grand Pavilion stage visible behind them. The 15th of June, 1895, the Harmonic Youth Ensemble. Nobody asked who sent them. Nobody documented who took them away, and the commission closed the matter with no further action required.